Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, we're continuing working on this wonderful Miniart Stuart M3, and I gotta tell you, it's a honey of a kit, although they don't have the honey available yet. All right. They even give you a nice little cover for this thing. So I've got to cut that off and paint it white and then put it on there. Of course, it's not a perfect kit, but it's I would say it's about 93% pretty good. There's a few issues I've come across, but for the most part, it's often just user error. In any case, the majority of this is going to be getting into some of the weathering. Okay, yeah, there was some controversy about whether this would have the gas can included, because somebody was saying that they didn't have them at the time of this initial. But when I posted this question on a Facebook webpage dedicated to the Stuart, some people posted photographs of the vehicle with the jerry cans obviously in view. In any case, I went ahead and I started taking off the top coat of paint. Underneath of that, of course, is the hairspray. This is a handy technique, but it's often kind of unpredictable as well. And apparently somebody was saying that these things would not have been painted as well. They would have just had the metallic color, I guess, galvanized or something. I'm not sure. A lot of the callouts for painting on this kit are kind of not so correct. For instance, the transmission and the parts that go over to the final drive, all that stuff should be like a silver, aluminum, because apparently it was not painted. And the cover of the transmission should be a silver as well, as I believe it was painted a silver. So what that is I'm working on the, this is the machine gun ammo. Yeah, here I'm just sort of like getting rid of the last little flakes that might be there. Just smoothing everything over. So I need... Okay, now I've got to paint the strap that goes around the jerry can, and I... Not liking that. Oh, what do we got? Picked one color, but I felt it was a bit too, I don't know, it wasn't quite the right color. So I dug around and I got another one. So I kind of mixed the two together. What I was doing is I'm trying to get some contrast in here.
So I touched it up a little bit around the strap, and I think I'm gonna glue this one on now. Let's see. So there's a shorter stub here compared to here, so it's pretty clear how this one faces. So there's your ammo, pretty handy. Alright, so just doing a dry fit.
The tolerances in this kit are pretty amazing. Like, there are some issues in that some of the holes are a bit small for the actual pins that are supposed to fit in, but that's minor. For the most part, everything fits wonderfully. I've learned a lot building this kit about the Stuart that I didn't know before.
That's a tight fit right next to this braking system. Alright, so that's in. Now, this has got nice holes in the bottom to locate it over here on these two pins. I think I'm going to hit it with a little bit of silver or light gray for where the buckle is.
If I were to do this again, I think what I would do is maybe hold off until I've got the sidewall in place. Then I would install it. Okay, here we're starting to get into doing some, I guess what they call pin washing, or just give it a wash to pull out some of the details by having a thin mixture of paint and thinner. So this is oil paint, and I've mixed it with some paint thinner. And I'm really trying not to go too dark with it. So here, I'm even putting on thinner before I put on the wash, And even though I got pretty light here in these pictures, I felt that later on I may have gone a little bit too dark. It's one of those things where, like, you want to bring out the detail, but you also want it to look realistic. And if you look at photos of the real thing, they don't have a lot of sort of halos around things, But it's model building as well, so. So here I'm just using a Q-tip to take off some of the excess on the sort of larger spaces, because I don't want it to be like so strong like on the flat areas. It's more about picking out rivets and bolts and wires, stuff like that.
There was something in my brush that kind of messed up my wash there, but whatever.
You can see here I've taken out those boxes that I had on the floor before. I wasn't happy with how the white looked, and I ended up stripping it and repainting them. You'll see that later on here. So the idea is just to hit certain spots and let the capillary action take care of the rest, you know, and go back in with paint thinner maybe to smooth things in, or, you know, dilute it a little bit here and there. You can always come back and remove any excess later. Just need to put a little paint thinner on a paper towel or a Q-tip. It's often a better way to do it is to just put this stuff on and then let it solidify and dry out. And then when you come back later, it doesn't just lift off from the recesses. So once I got this all done, what I wanted to do was come back in with some pigments. You know, like there'd be dirt and dust tracked in from the trainees or whoever these guys are. I'm not going for a really old interior, like
break up the home. Well,
yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. Yeah, should I ever build this kit again, that transmission definitely is going to be an aluminum color. You can really just be very precise in your placement of these washes. You don't have to go everywhere. I got lazy with this control panel. I should have painted the bezels around the gauges. I should have painted those like a black, but I just knew it would be really difficult to paint with a brush. And then also my silhouette cameo doesn't cut that fine. You can get these smaller tip Q-tips from various different places, even Amazon, but there's specialty ones that you can get from different shops out there. But sometimes you need a really precise cotton tip.
So I've got this really nice small earbud. I got it from a place called Rainbow 10 from back in the day. And it's really helpful getting in there and removing some of the excess.
Okay, now we'll do some pin washes in the engine bay area. Again, I'm just trying to be really precise with where I'm putting this stuff. Maybe mixing it with some paint thinner so it gets thinned out a bit here and there. I guess that hatch that I talked about in the first episode is not an escape hatch. As you can see, this is where the engine would sit. So that must be some kind of a clean out or access panel for the underneath of the engine. As you can see, that little storage tank on the left-hand side there, or it's come off. Like, I would, if I were you, I would hold off putting that on until, you know, near the end when you're starting to put all the other pieces of pipe in and whatnot. Because inevitably during the handling of it, it's just going to get knocked off its attachment points. Okay, out comes the Q-tip, and we're going to maybe clean up the excess here. So at this point is when I start adding some of the pigment that would represent, dust and dirt that's maybe gotten ground into some of the recesses or around the corners, against the walls of some of this stuff. But I'll come back and remove it from where there might be some high traffic where people are stepping, and it gets moved out of the way. So taking a Q-tip and just a little bit of water on the end of it, I'm able to go back in and remove it from where people would be stepping, and it wouldn't sort of be there like it is now. When people walk around, things like that, it would have got moved around and shifted. For the engine bay, I'm going to leave a lot more of it in place because, of course, nobody's walking around when their engine is installed. That's one of the fun things to do is think about weathering and aging the engine compartment on the floor. It's got to be a bit of a mess in some ways, right? Yeah, like I said before, I would hold off putting this jerry can in place at this point because during the handling of the kit, at this point, with this in the way, it's just going to get knocked around and bent over. And I would suggest you hold off till when you get the side piece on, because that strap has to actually line up against the wall. I'm not sure if that thing is supposed to sit on the floor or if it is actually on these two sort of like tiny mounting points.
Well,
So
I
it's-
messed up. I've got to redo the handle there. So I tried doing it by hand, but it's not working, so I'm going to use my little tool.
I tried reusing the old piece of wire, but it just was too much work, so I just got myself a new one. And now I'm just going to stick it in the jaws of this thing, and hopefully it'll give me a nice grab handle.
All right, that's way better. Now I just have to paint that white when it's set. Okay, I'm gonna show you a little trick I do for when I want to make my own little applicator. All right. So a little crazy glue. A little activator. So you see, now you can just go like this. All right, there you go. I repainted these boxes too because I wasn't happy with how they were looking. Gloss white is not my favorite thing to paint. It's always a bit of a problem. So let's glue that back in now. There, I'm happier. I'll have to do the oil wash. I used Tamiya white this time instead of the Mr. Color Super White. And yeah, it looks okay now. And now, I guess I can glue this one back in. If I were to do this again, I might take more time, but I'm kind of excited to get it finished and see what it looks like. So, but yeah, maybe next time I'll take more time with each of these boxes. All right, so we're back to normal again. I mean, back to the beginning. Try using some of this Mr. Color Dark Iron for like some of the areas around the feet. Unfortunately, lacquer Okay, that's not so great. Although I do like some of the paint has come off here. But yeah, I probably should have used the Humbrol enamel, because it won't reactivate as much. All right, so that wasn't that great. But we do have this Humbrol metal. See, the idea here is that the guy operating this basically has worn through some of the paint on the floor. Same over here in the machine gunner's place. So now, once that's dry, I can buff it up a bit. So I've got this little addition. So I'm just using a little Future to glue this down. All right. Good enough. All right, so I think I want to add a little bit of a lighter color. Just get a bit of blondness to this. So I'm just using some really cheap oil paint that I bought on Amazon, and I'm making up a glaze here to give it a nice bit of a raw sienna, not raw sienna, but burnt sienna. Like it's a sienna reddish color. Just sort of like going over the water-based paint that I've already put down with this oil-based paint, just to give it a glazing, to give it a little bit of a red look. From the references, that's what it looks like. It's got a bit of a red tinge to the wood.
Okay, so we got to put some decals on this thing. And this one is a E. Okay, and we need decal F and another decal D. And we need F. All right. These decals are amazingly clear for being so small. All right.
So I'm adding these little cone things, but I'm not even really sure what they were when I was putting them in. But I found some pictures online of somebody reconditioning an older tank. And apparently these are like for the fire suppression system. I'm not sure if they would have been painted red back in the day. I've chosen not to. Anybody have any more information? Please leave a comment in the bleep bloop down below. Fitting all these little pipes in was a bit of a challenge, but it's all part of the process, is learning as you go. And in the end, I got everything where it was supposed to be.
All right, I'm just going to let that Boy, oh boy, this is really unclear. Well, I'm just going to let that set up. All right. This, I don't know, does it go that way? Yep. So that'll go in
So adding this mounting yoke for the engine was a challenge because you have to fit where it goes onto the tunnel parts that come through from the fighting compartment. And it's a very tight fit, but I ended up getting it done.
Just be patient.
That is going to be a bitch to put in there.
You could almost maybe put that on before you put the gas tanks on, just so you have better access. Like, that's the thing about building a model kit for the first time. You follow the instructions, but maybe later on, after you've gone through it once, you can understand how it might be an easier way to do something.
Okay, sports fans, at this point, I'm going to call it done for today, and we'll come back with the next episode. We'll be working more with the engine and maybe getting it into where it's supposed to be on the back end of this tank. So be sure to join us for that exciting installment. But in the meantime, and in between time, that's another edition of Jet Scale Models. Y'all come back now, you hear?